listeners, it's Peps again, and now it's time for the 2022 Richmond Season Preview. And the question is, will the yellow and black strike premiership glory again, or could they be Mason Coxed again? Like every other club, you wanted the best. We have got the best. We have got Nick from the Tiger Talk podcast to take us through all the ins and outs, all the good stuff, all the news and previews for season 2022. Nick, thank you very
Peps,
much.
I think you're bearing the lead, mate. You've got me on to talk Tigers, but really you want me to talk to you as your success consultant. You want to ask about how you go from this perpetually downtrodden fan to the envy and the resentment of the league. How you go from no flags for us 37 years, for you more than 40, to winning 3 flags in 4 years, and you become insufferable to anybody. But mate, all I have to say on that front is just embrace it. Live the dream.
I'm embracing everything. Like this whole thing of expectation where, I've been told your club were the hunters and now they're the hunted. Bring it on. I think that's that's what I'm looking forward to, is how are the boys going to handle it? But listen, enough about my club. We're talking about your club. We're talking about the Richmond Tigers. We're talking about a club that won 3 out of the last 4 flags, not including the one that these did. The only reason that you didn't get it was because an American by the name of Coxie tore it away from you. And mind you, I was at that game, and it was one of the most freakiest things I've ever seen. Probably the only other good game he played was his debut, but outside of that, he's done nothing. So
I still don't understand what happened, because if you look of our that 4-year period, that 2018 team had the best regular season. So, and yet when it came to finals time, a bit unsettled with injuries, maybe probably feeling themselves a bit too much, didn't get it done.
You know what, Nick? That also happened with Geelong in their 2008. Was it the 2008 season?
Oh, there was one of those.
Yeah, I think they lost their 1 game or 2 games for the season, got pipped by Stewie Jew, good old Stewie Snags Jew, and anything can happen on the day. We've seen it happen, but you know what? I reckon I'd rather lose a granny than the prelim. I reckon the prelim is that's the hardest loss because it was so close.
Yeah, you say that. I was thinking about...
Actually, no, I wouldn't. I'd rather not lose any of them.
Well, you'd rather not lose any of them. But you think about 2019 and that journey, that Collingwood team, pretty good team, favourites going in, they lose to the Giants. And the club's just been on a steady downhill run ever since. 2020, that's a really good Port Adelaide team. They get pipped in the prelim by us by a goal, and nobody talks about them as a really good team. All the regular season doesn't matter. Like, if you can have a great regular season and you have fun at the time and you win the big games, but unless you're fit and firing in September, doesn't mean a thing.
Well, I'm going to throw that fit and firing. First question: pre-grand final bye, which we've had since I think Fremantle rested 15 of their players, and then the AFL once again just jumped to conclusions. Keep it or scrap it?
Well, we were one of the teams badly affected by that, because Freo did it, but North Melbourne also did it, and then they stitched us up, which is pretty annoying. And I had a nasty reminder of this. Robbie Tarrant come over to Richmond, as a last minute fill in for Dave Asprey. But he's a guy coming over, 32 years old. That final against Richmond is the only final he's won in his entire career.
You can tell the boys about it. So they got Tarranted and Coxed. It doesn't get worse than that. Hey, listen, What's going on for Tiger Talk in 2022? How's it looking? How you setting yourself up? How you shaping at the moment? How's your preseason going, most importantly?
Look, we're in that, honestly, we're fat, we're smug. We don't have the same, gut-wrenching nerves that we did in previous years. We've had a really good go of it. But of course, you've had the off season. You've got bored with the cricket. Our AFLW teams barely mid-table. Yeah, you start to get the itch at this time of year, and the practice games start. And looking forward
Tomorrow.
to footy.
They start tomorrow.
I know.
I think we're all looking forward to it. I think you're right. The cricket season was pretty crappy, pretty average per se, and we just want to get back into the single greatest game. So Tiger Talk is going to be a massive part of 2022, but let's start with it. Okay. How's your outlook looking? What's in your eyes at the moment? What have you heard? What have you seen? What's the expectations from a Richmond perspective? From your perspective, how are they going to go in season 2022 from a general overview?
Well, it's optimism, but it's optimism with a question mark. Like, there's still 22 premiership players on the list, but the list is getting on a bit. There's 8 guys on the list who are 30 or above, so that's a question mark. Dustin Martin had the type of injury last year where he lacerated a kidney. He went a month eating only vegetables, which I can only imagine what that'd do for your will to live. And it, perhaps even more seriously, his father's died in December. So, he's had the off season from hell, and he's the ultimate big game player. So, he's where he's at with his football has to be a question, and he's a huge part of the team. So I do think that injury and availability question, as we saw last year, that we started the year with high hopes, and we finished the year round 23 against Hawthorn with a starting midfield of Ross, Collier Dawkins, and the other Martin, who and Callum Coleman Jones as the ruckman, and they had less than 70 games experience between the 4 of them. So we've got this aging premiership core. We've got this younger group who pretty unproven, nice looking bunch of draftees from last year. Hope to see some of them. But one of the dirty secrets of the draft is that players from the draft don't help you win premierships. There's only been 2 first 18-year-old draftees win premierships in the past 4 years. So those guys realistically can't be expected to help you win. So it's really do the old guys
you've got a bit of the book,
yeah.
You've got the bookends going, haven't you? So you've got the top end talent.
Got the
and
top
in the middle, it's kind of empty, and then down the bottom, you've got a solid foundation of kids.
I think
it's a tough, it's a good spot, but once you get, like you've said, if you get, and I'm picking a number at random, like 5. If you get 5 injuries and like 2 forward, 2 back, and a mid, it's really going to put some stress on the list. The depth isn't as much as it would have been, especially when you lose.
It's a big question.
Yeah, you lost Scholl and you lose Coleman Jones over the.
Well, I was gonna get to that.
They're 2 toughies.
Next.
Yeah.
So we've got big Ivan Soldo coming back from injury. He's looking good in pre-season. So feeling good. Him and Nankervis. But beyond those 2, we've got Samson Ryan, who's gangly Queenslander, who's 1 game, 0 disposals for his career.
I remember that too, that game. Poor bloke.
That is not good. And the next guy behind him is Mate Kalina, who hasn't played a game of organised football in 5 years, who's currently playing basketball over in America and won't join the team for another month or so. So ruck depth is the thing.
Rough.
We'd probably be playing someone like Noah Bolter as a ruck.
And I've been hearing things about Bolter where they're thinking of throwing him down forward. And I'm like, hold on, this guy last time I checked was a premiership fullback. Why in the world would you take him out of a position he knows so well and throw him into a completely different region where he has to go from being the hunter to being the hunted? I don't get it. Maybe there's something that I don't see.
It is a good question,
would you do
but
that? It happens too much. It happens too much. Clubs throw players around for whatever reason. Now, I can understand if they haven't got form in a spot. This guy was a premiership fullback, and now, somebody else might be better in the spot. Who? He's perfectly suited. He's young. I don't get it. I don't get perfect. Asprey just takes his spot straight in. I don't get it. Help me out with this one.
He did. The two answers to that question are: A, he played forward ruck a lot as a junior, and 2, we drafted a centre half back in the top 10 in the draft, Josh Gibbs, and having just said that young players don't often help you win, word is he's pretty good.
Done all right.
So they've been experimenting with that. I don't know. I'd find it pretty. Terrence 33 years old. You can't rely on him being healthy, and the other options. None of them are playing on Tom Hawkins, who's a beast. Like Bolter, has
he has to go. He has to go when you're playing beasts. Hawkins, I think even from a Mackay perspective.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Ben Brown, like when the big boys come into play, he has to take them. But outside of that,
and the athleticism playing on the King brothers aren't as big, and one of them's out as an injury, but they're enormously tall. That kid from Footscray, Sam Darcy, he's even taller.
He's gone down, but he's gone down with a foot. He won't be playing for a while.
Now,
what's concerning from your mob is the over 30 players. Now, I know that's only just a number, but it adds up. You have a look at it. Edwards, Rewalt, Tarrant, who you've just brought in, Cochin, Martin, Grimes, Lambert, Pickett, and then you've got a couple of 29s in Caddy, Prestia, Lynch. So you've picked out many premiership players there, but sooner or later they're going to fall off the edge, and that's been top 10 BNF people for the last 5-6 years. Looking at that group just there, like you've got
easily
Rewalt, who has dominated up forward, 300 plus games. Cochin's at 268. Dusty would hit 300. We know he'll hit 300 because he'll probably move down more. He's got the capacity to do so.
Well, and he's got
that's a lot of experience.
He's got 3 years left on his contract as well. Yeah. Look, Jack's. I'd be very surprised if it's not Jack's last year. He's been. This is his 16th season, and he's had a great career. Probably slowing down.
Fantastic. I love watching Jack play.
I know, but he's good in the media. I'd be surprised if it's not. Shane Edwards, I reckon 50-50 to go on. All these guys, you don't know injuries, form. If they're still playing well, maybe they keep going. But yeah, it's a big question, and it's not easy managing the transition from one era to the next. The Hawthorns clearly struggled with it. Geelong's been able to stay, very competitive, but when haven't played in a grand final in a long time, and they've probably done it better than anyone. So yeah, the system's set up for teams to fail over time. So you defy gravity as long as you can, but comes
I think teams like Geelong and Hawthorn, etc. They're like Geelong when they fall off that cliff, they're going to hit hard. Like they have to. They've just got too many. But the one I get concerned a little bit about also is Tom Lynch. Now his form, especially 2019, he kicked 63 goals. Then it dropped to 32, and then last year it was 35. So I know there was a 6-game difference in that. But even from an average, he was averaging 2.5 goals. He's actually averaging more at Gold Coast than he has been at Richmond. Now, I don't know whether that's because he was a focal point at the Suns and they share it around a lot more with your mob, or has his form just not been what it was at Gold Coast or outside of that 2019 year?
It's a bit of A, a bit of B, and a bit of C as well. Like he uncharacteristically got the yips with his goal kicking last year as well. So his ball winning was pretty similar for most of the year, but just for whatever reason wasn't wasn't kicking as straight as he had in previous years. And yeah, definitely, it's a thing that he gets some targets, but Jack gets some targets, and they move Dusty into the forward line, often late in quarters, and who's not going to kick the ball to Dusty? So.
Well, he just turns it on, doesn't he? You love a bit of Dusty.
And
that's it. Just empty the 50, throw Dusty down there. Good luck to anyone trying to stop him. And regardless, if you don't like footy,
it's my favourite thing. As much as I love Dusty, the midfielder, Dusty won out in the goal square against some hapless mid-sized defender is one of my favourite things in the world.
Well, that 2020 grand final was his finest game, especially what he did in that second half, and that was out of control. Especially because his first half was okay, but what he did in that second half was just unbelievable. Like I said, it was Dusty-like, but nobody else could have done what he did that night, and I think that's what they're the things that we need to remember. But I think you are right. Challenges, and I've spoken about this previously with another podcast I did, a Yank on the Footy. I had a chat with him about the season, and that's what I said about Dusty. Same thing. He's obviously getting on. He's had that major injury, but also with what's happened with his father. That's a lot to sort of take on. Is the hunger still there? Because I know that his football career, a lot of it was dedicated to his family, to his father, etc. Not having that
he was
there,
very close to his dad. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know. We don't know how much that's going to affect him. I just hope that he gets back from this injury. He looks like about 10 kilos lighter, apparently. So that's going to make him run all day. How's it going to affect his strength and so forth?
Can you tackle him now? Yeah.
Can you tackle? Exactly right. You got two new captains per se in terms of Mr. Nankervis and Mr. Dylan Grimes. You happy with that move?
Oh, look, I was a bit surprised by it. A bit of a football traditionalist. I prefer one captain. Like from a distance, I absolutely hated what St Kilda did in the Zeros, where they rotated captains. I've come around on it a bit. I'd still prefer a single captain, but I've heard it explained. They went through this process. These two were the standouts. Dylan Grimes has got a fair bit on his plate. He runs a winery business as well as being a footballer. Toby Nankervis is famously media shy. Like obviously the meme of him
with BT
blowing off BT was a classic,
BT.
But he's not done a lot of media ever.
But Dusty's like that. Dusty's not the most media-driven person, but he lets his football do the talking and what's behind the scenes.
It's a cash gig.
Well, he's cashy. He's got to love a cashy.
Loves a cashy. So yeah, look, I think that Nank's incredibly well respected in the playing group, as is Dylan Grimes. I think it also reflects maybe there wasn't Trent Cotchin when he became captain. I think was 22 years old, and we just don't have that equivalent in the team. Like,
well, that's what I was looking at. I was going through your list right now, and I thought, okay, you've made a 30-year-old 31 by the end of the season, and you've also made a guy who's going to be 28 by the end of the season. That might be for maybe one or two, but then when you go and have a look underneath there's really not much that stands out that makes me go, okay, who could we follow? Now, you look at a guy like Liam Baker, which was awesome. He came third in the Jack Dyer medal last year, and he's a guy that he's played in 3 flags, I think. Two. He's played in 2 flags. He's only played 64 games. You're sitting back going, oh, geez, is that somebody that we could hang our hat on? But I don't know.
No.
From like you said, he's got that. Jack Graham is another one. I go, oh, well, he comes second in the Jack Dyer medal. So
more so than
he's got
Baker,
some spunk about him as well too.
He's really rated for his leadership off field. But and look, these days the captain doesn't always have to be the best player, and
it doesn't.
Neither Grimes nor Nankervis are clearly not our best player. But Jack Graham's not in our 10 best players, so that for me is too big an ask. Maybe he grows into it. Nick Vlaston's the other one. He's a bit. He's about the same age as Nankervis, so he's another one. But clearly they felt that it wasn't his time yet. So yeah, it does. There's a bit of a gap there. Tom Lynch was another one that was talked about because he obviously captained Gold Coast, but I don't know. I just he gets a lot of media scrutiny already. He's got the gigantic contract.
He doesn't need anything. We saw what happened to Stephen Cornelio last year, having that contract. Having the captaincy on his plate, and if you've got skill issues, the last thing that you need is your captain not playing well and being dropped previous year. That's tough.
Yeah, your $1 million player. You're one of the top 10 highest paid players in the league, and you're not best 22 for a mid-table team.
So I can see this almost being a bit of a stopgap for a couple of years until one of those younger ones either grows into it or somebody comes into the club that you know that, okay.
Yeah.
Could you see, I'm just throwing a name out there, and you've mentioned him a little bit earlier. Could someone like a Noah Bolter grow into that? He's only 22. Big presence about him.
Again, he's another one. Just doesn't have the personality for it.
Yeah,
like he's a pretty reserved dude. When he got drafted, he famously said he didn't watch much footy.
Yeah, not the best thing to do when someone drafts you.
No, look, points for honesty, but yeah. I think they're gonna. It's gonna be something where they get growing that next generation of leaders is going to be a big thing for the club.
Yeah, they have to.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, Damian Hardwick, you still happy with Hardwick still running? Because I know when you put your preview through to me earlier on, your bio was right in the highs and lows of 11 years with Damian Hardwick. Are you on the Hardwick bandwagon, or where do you sort of sit with where he's?
I'm still very much on the. Look, we recorded about 15 shows questioning why someone who hadn't managed to win a single finals game in 6 years as coach was being retained. So yeah, we've got that on our resume. But look, he's I think he's matured really well. Look, he says himself he didn't cope very well with the first round of lockdown. And
everything
it's
else
always
outside of work. Yep.
And clearly, tactically, the introduction of the stand rule affected us negatively last year, and that there was a bit of tuning the game plan on the fly last year. Some of which didn't always work. We won. We had 6 games where the margin was 10 or less points, and we won one of them. There's a bit of luck in that as well. So maybe he himself has said he didn't have his best year last year, but and keeping the hunger when you've been at the top is a challenge as well. But yeah, I don't think we're anything close to a Clarkson situation yet, thankfully.
No, I think everything went really well for him. No one, I don't care what anybody says. That first COVID where everyone was just in the bubble, that would have been tough regardless. So
yeah, absolutely.
It was almost an anomaly on the season because nobody knew what to do. Don't worry about talking about, is he the right man? A certain individual who will remain nameless, me, expected Goodwin to be sacked by the Queen's birthday weekend last year.
Yep.
Don't I look like a fool? But at that particular stage, there was nothing for me to go, this is the right man for it.
And you weren't the only one saying it as well.
So it is going to happen, and everybody else is going through it. There's other coaches who are going to experience it. I just think that the way the coaches are now, they're almost man managers, and they have to have that really good support of assistant coaches around them to be able to then just flourish in the role of, hey, come over here, buddy. I'll give you a spray when I need to, but I'll put my arm around you when you well too. And Goodwin worked out, and Mr. Hardwick looks like he's that type of guy as well too. Hey, you got your 3 flags in 4 years. He really can't ask for much more than that, except the fourth flag in 6 years.
They've got a pretty good group. Adam Kingsley's sort of the senior assistant. He's He's interviewed for both Carlton and Collingwood senior jobs, so he's pretty well regarded. They've got Xavier Clark, who's one of the very few Indigenous coaches in the league that they think pretty fondly of. So yeah, still got some talent behind the scenes, which is good. But yeah, it is when you step back and look at the, as I mentioned, the Clarkson situation. Well, now Clarkson is the obvious name. Almost any coach except the brand new ones has a bad month. Media's going to be all over where Clarkson goes next.
Look, I think it'll be, I would say it's either, I'd have to say I think it's got to be Gold Coast, regardless of Stewie Dew.
I think so.
I just think that, they're going to have to make a decision that whether they keep Dew, because people like Ben King and so forth have said, we'll play here if Dew's there. That if you have someone like Alistair Clarkson who's coming in, that's going to be tough for the Suns. And I reckon Stewie Dew's an all right coach. He's just been, whenever they get good kids, they lose them.
It's an impossible situation.
It's an impossible situation for them.
Does the AFL throw the giant bag of money at Clarkson to try and level up the credibility of the club? And
they have to. Yeah, they have to do something because
they've got to do something different.
They have to, because nothing's worked so far. They've thrown everything at that club, bucket loads of cash, bucket loads of people, and nothing's been able to stick so far. They've got a great crop of young talent.
Oh, fantastic.
They just need someone to harness it. Could you imagine a Ben King, a Rankin, a Noah Anderson running around, a Matt Rowell running around for the Tigers? My goodness gracious. You'd love it.
Unbelievable.
You would absolutely love it. Yeah. Rightio. Who's going to be the breakout star for the Tigers this year? So who's the one that, not many people may know about? You're going to pull it out here at the season preview that Big Nick pulled this one out and said, hey, this is the guy that you need to keep your eye on because I reckon he's going to be something special.
I feel bad that I don't have a more left field answer, but Riley Collier-Dawkins looks really good. The club talks about him quite a bit whenever this question comes up, but he's 22 now. He's 191 centimetre midfielder. He's looking really fit. Played well in a intra club on the weekend, so he's an obvious one. I would just love for Shea Bolton to take his game to another level. He unfortunately had to switch him forward late in the season last year, which sort of dampened his stats for the year. But as a midfielder, or just as a footballer generally, he's just electric, and I think there's another gear there. But if you really want a deep sleeper, and I don't think he'll play very much this year, but another kid, Tyler Sonsie, he looked all right on the weekend. I didn't have big expectations because he's had some injuries in pre-season, but he just didn't look overawed at the level. So he'd be my deep sleeper for the year.
It was well, it's good because he was picked up at pick 28 in the draft last year. 19 years of age, 181, bit light, 78 kegs, but that doesn't really mean anything. That's what they bought when he first comes in. If you can whack a couple on. But you're right. The one that you mentioned first and foremost, Shai Bolton, he really stood up last year. Like, he wasn't just flash in the pan stuff. He was consistent. And there were games where you looked at it and went, he was best for Richmond, bar none. And no one else got close. And they were in some pretty devastating losses that you had throughout the season where he definitely stood up where the rest of the team, for whatever reason, didn't. So I reckon that was a career season for him. Who's going to be the breakdown? Who's going to be getting the tap on the shoulder from Mr. Hardwick at the end of the season and going, okay, listen, I think you need to maybe look at your future endeavours?
Ooh, I hate this question, but it's a good question. Look, Josh Caddy's in his last year of the contract, as you said, 29 years old. I think he's a big chance to go at the end of the year, but the one that'll really sting is Trent Cotchin, I reckon. He's another guy. He's got some business interests outside of the game. He's in the last year of his deal. He's had a great career. He's not the player he was Yeah, he'd be. It'd be more of a surprise if he did another year, I think, than not. Like Jack Rewalters as well, but he's 33, and that's a pretty normal year for finishing
You
up.
could actually see potentially you might see something like Shane Edwards, you could see Rewalt, and you might see Cochin all finish up at the end. They'll all be 33 by the end of the season. So a couple of them 34. You can't carry around too many. It's okay throughout the season, but it's the deep end of the season. We've seen what happened with Geelong. It's just not going to work.
No, and you've seen. I mean, some guys productive into their mid-30s, and look, the hope with someone like Shane Burgoyne, he doesn't carry a lot of weight. No, Shane Edwards, similar to Shane Burgoyne, doesn't carry a lot of weight, and so maybe can play on. Boomer Harvey as well managed to have a really long career. Michael Tuck, so not the super muscly guys. Sometimes can play really long, but yeah, that would be a real changing of the guard. It'd be put us in a completely different situation as well, because we've been pushed right up against the salary cap for.
Yeah, exactly right.
As you'd expect when you're a really good team.
You win 3 flags and get pinched on a fourth.
And Dusty and Lynch on $1 million contracts as well, so there wouldn't be a ton of space. But yeah, that'd be a real changing of the guard moment.
You mentioned
not
Shane
sure
Edwards.
how well I'd cope.
I think we miss the characters, and Rewalt's definitely a character. Dusty's a character. Yep. We want these people around. But you're right with Edwards. Like, even though he's had his last couple of seasons have been pretty much injury riddled, his disposals and so forth averages just as good as they were 6 years ago. So he was averaging just over 18 disposals a game, which was more than 2020, on par with 2017, same as 16, 15, 14. So he hasn't got slower. He's still being able to rack them up as well too. And most of those, he's actually they're kicks, where beforehand it was more handballs and kicks. He's actually swapped it around. Which means that guys is either making space or he's actually putting in the hard yards to get the ball and then dish it off too. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one when Edwards finishes up, but definitely Rewalt. Like he's a Hall of Famer, full stop. Probably the same as Cochin as well too. Martin, he'll end up being he'll be a legend of the game as well too.
Three Norm Smiths.
3 Norm Smiths. Well, everybody who's not a Richmond supporter will go, I reckon Basher was robbed on one of those. First one. Everybody who's not a Richmond supporter.
It was very close. Two of the 5 people on the voting panel voted for Basher, but
yeah. I thought he set it up. But doesn't matter. He's got 3 medals around his neck as well too. Hey, got to ask you the big questions now. These are the ones that are going to have to take you outside the bubble that is Richmond. We're looking at the whole league in itself. So who is going to be taking out 2022 premiership? And you can select any team, including your own.
Look, I'm not pandering, but I do. Sitting where we are right now, I think Melbourne are the favourite with the bookmakers, and I think that's deservedly so from what we saw last year.
Yep.
Of course, we also know it's a long season. A lot of things can happen, so it's impossible to crystal ball who's going to be fit and firing in September. But sitting here in late February, I reckon your boys are nicely set up.
If there was somebody else outside of us that sort of catches your eye as well too, because I must admit Melbourne's come up quite regularly, which is nice to hear, because 12 months ago the only person who mentioned it was my brother, and I laughed at him. But it's been outside of the D's. Who else do you think might be up there as well? Are you giving your own mob a shot?
Oh, look, if we're fit, we'll have a really red hot crack. We're currently projected for the second half of the top 8, and I think that reflects some questions, because we missed we missed the top 8 entirely last year, so it's perfectly reasonable to
That's
have
an
some
improvement.
questions. But if things go well for us, I reckon we'll have a crack. I'm pretty sceptical of Geelong. Like, they're another year older, and they're a really old team. Brisbane, I think Port are a better team than Brisbane. I think Brisbane still have a few structural weaknesses, and and I think I don't know. There's a mass of teams sitting. Melbourne clear favourite. Bulldogs, I think will be there or thereabouts. But there's some holes in the team as well. So they haven't addressed their ruck issue, and that was an issue last year. So I don't know. It's pretty open.
It's definitely open. Even when you look at it and you go through those top teams that you just mentioned, anyone on their day can beat the other mob. It's funny what you said about Brisbane and Port. That's almost been the opposite as well too. So some have said I like Port over Brisbane, Western. So, but that group of clubs that you've mentioned, which is literally what the top 4 was last year, and Western Bulldogs, who were 5th, is pretty much what's been brought up all well too. So you've got your eye in the right spot. Who is taking out Charlie? Who's going home with the Brownlow around their neck?
That's a good one. I feel like the easy cheats answer is Bont, but I don't know. Like Petrarca could be thereabouts, but also honestly, one thing we've Dusty had this amazing season in 2017, and he hasn't won a Brownlow since, but he's won a couple of Norm Smiths, and that's partly, I think, maybe once you get to the top, it's hard to get excited about playing St Kilda on a wet and windy August afternoon. So
GWS in Canberra.
GWS in Canberra.
Footballer's paradise, that one.
Exciting stuff. I'd love to see one of the young guns in the competition really step up. Brayshaw from Freo.
Nice, I like it.
He's really good for if you want something a bit more left field. But I'd love to see one of the Suns juniors break through.
I'd love Tuke Miller. If there was one, I'd love Tuke Miller. He was exceptional. I was wrapped. He got a Australian last year too, because
he can really play.
He bleeds for that club, and
I know.
There wouldn't be too many.
I love Andy. I mean, Raul obviously is a gun if he's fit, although he didn't look as good after he came back from his injury last year. But Anderson's a gun. My God, when he's out of contract, it's going to be a feeding frenzy as well.
I feel sorry. You get Kingo down, who's their leading goal kicker by a mile.
They are really thin.
They are thin
behind him.
Oh, well, they got my boy Chol now, so they should be able to dominate it from that.
Yeah, he's a complimentary player though. He's ideal playing next to someone like King. He's not a replacement.
Not a replacement. Coleman medalist? Do you have a Coleman medalist? Who's?
Oh, look at this one. I reckon's up in the air. With Harry Mackay would be the choice, but he's got a foot injury, and I just don't like foot injuries in blokes who are 200 centimeters tall. Like it's a problem when you're carrying.
It's a lot of weight that you got to carry around.
You're that tall, and you've got that much pressure impacting through your foot. So I think that's well up for grabs. Speaking of King brothers, I reckon Max King is a smoky.
He has come up a couple of times already, so there's a bit of a flavour going on at the moment. It's been Mackay, has been King as well too. So everybody so far has been saying very, very similar, which is nice to hear.
But if Mackay, they're being quite non-specific about Mackay's injury, and that's not a good thing. If it's
a good thing.
If it's a short-term injury, we would have been told.
All right, last thing, Nick, from Tiger Talk. I need you to give me a headline. I open up the Herald Sun at the end of season 2022. I go to the back page, and there's a headline giving Richmond supporters a summary of the year. How does it finish for the Tigers this year?
It's such a I feel like more so than most teams, the band of potential outcomes is, everywhere from we look old and rubbish and miss the finals to we just played in a grand final or a prelim. So I think it's fair enough. If you want to ask me what the most likely thing is, you got to split the difference between the two. I'd love to see us have a crack. That it just and one thing we haven't had for the past 5 years, like Richmond have never we never played the same team in a grand final twice. That West Coast 2018 premiership felt like it came a bit out of nowhere, both before and after. So we haven't had two really top teams playing well at the same time, which Hawthorn Geelong style that we did about 10 years ago. So I'd love two Titans
Nice.
at the MCG playing well. That'd be awesome.
Nick, you're getting me excited, my friend. You are getting me excited.
Well, it's that time of year.
It is that time of year.
If you're not excited about footy now, before it's had a chance to crush our hopes and dreams, when are you excited?
Well, this is your pre-season. This is you getting into the swing of things. And listeners, I can tell you now, Nick from the Tiger Talk podcast has put everything in perspective for you for season 22. Is it going to be the strong and the bold, or is it going to be wrinkled and old? We don't know at this particular moment in time, but I can tell you now, Richmond will not go down without a fight unless it's at Marvel Stadium, and they won't turn up at all.
Yeah.
Before we finish up, I've got just one last question for you, and it's just a simple one, Nick. Nick Cumpston from the Tiger Talk podcast. How do you want your footy?
Lace out, Peps.
Mate, we all want it lace out, and we all want it with a smile on our face. You are an absolute legend. There you go, listeners. There's your 2022 Richmond Season Preview. I don't know. Number 9 might be coming into play again. Could you imagine if you finished 9th again? It's been a while.
It has been a while, and
that tradition needs to continue.
It's lost its sting with all the WEG posters on the wall. I just get distracted when I see them.
We've got to bring it back. Bring it back. Have a great night, listeners, and more importantly, go Tigers. You're a legend, Nick.
Cheers, Peps.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of Lace Out. Head over to iTunes and Spotify to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. And remember, join us every single Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, on our Facebook page with yours truly, Christopher Pepper, and the co-host with the most, Jamie Wallis, giving you your footy how you want it. Lace out.